Welcome to this episode of StreamOn, presented by Dolby OptiView. I'm Carlo Marquez, a guy with the scars. They read it on the opposite, but I can tell you this is a guy with the scars. Lucky to have with me Ciprian Castanedo from LHP Media. So Ciprian, in Torino, Italy. You are in, I imagine, Paris, France.
In Paris. Hi, Carlo. Hi, everybody.
And Paul, you're somewhere else.
So I'm in Sydney.
Product strategy at Dolby OptiView. You're in Sydney, Australia, which means you are, sorry, I'm so ignorant. What weather do you have? Because I had 27 degrees last week and rain 12 degrees yesterday. So how is what time of the year is there?
Summer's over. It's still reasonably warm. The water's nice. So the beach is great.
Okay. Oh, that's a good starting point. So, the idea today is, StreamOn in the past had Formula One, OBS, and a lot of other clients. Also lately, my friend Dan Rayburn with Paul talking about the ads experience, etc. My Alexa is telling me something. Sorry, I switch everything off in the house, but the Alexa. So hopefully, I need to be careful. Don't mention that name again. And now I think the focus is because of the passion and the experience of all of the three of us. The title is Beyond the Broadcast, Redefining Fan Engagement in Live Sport. We will definitely be talking about the video experience, right? But quickly, I mean, Ciprian, more than your official role title, what are you doing at LFT Media? Then we'll talk what happened last year, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Tell me a bit about you in the current, what you're doing now.
Yeah, so basically at LFP Media, I work in the media departments, and to be fully concrete, my day-to-day job is coordinating all the technical and project activities regarding our D2C offering, League One Plus. So it goes from the technical relationship with our vendors to being sure all the content is distributed the right way, to analytics of the performance of the week. So it's basically an end-to-end job on the D2C streaming platform.
Then you're also managing the roadmap for, I can imagine, for next feature, next verse, exactly. And next season. Yeah.
Exactly, because everybody wants always more. So
I've been in that position from the vendor side, but we are in the same team, in the same ocean with different boats. And Paul, I know you spent quite some time at Dolby, but Dolby OptiView now. So what's your focus now?
So I'll lead into the focus with just a little bit of background because it explains the focus now. So my background, I was originally a telecommunications researcher. Then I was an entrepreneur for a while, startup, great fun. And then I was in engineering, product management. But where I've landed now is I'm product strategy. And for product strategy for my role is I've got 1 foot in research, one foot in the business group. And so I'm working to help define the longer term products within the Dolby OptiView suite. I'm looking for the opportunities, and that's where fan engagement is actually something that we're super engaged with at Dolby at the moment. Actually, across the business group, we're engaged in sports.
Yeah, I've been at the Dusseldorf event, watching live sport in your car. So yeah, I understand what you say. Allora, so let's start with the big find. Let's talk about the League One Plus. And I think we have a little video to present what League One Plus is. Super emotional music as always in this case. So last summer you were kind of in a lot of news cycle. League One and League One Plus was there, and I can imagine what it meant for Ciprian. But I know even to me you already told the story, so I hope it's not too boring. But summarize what happened and why this is a super case study for direct to consumer in live sport.
Yeah. As you were saying, Carlo, I think this is a great case study because in the past year and a half, we had like so many movement and so many directions at LFP Media. So to summarize it, the project like League One Plus was first built as a backup strategy for international markets. So it was previously called the League One Pass, and it was deployed in the UK and Ireland 1 season and a half ago. The intent with that was like, okay, we have some markets internationally where we don't have broadcasters. Let's have a flexible tool that we can plug and play and activate and deactivate depending on the cycle. And then the big movement was last year with the end of the DAZN deal that collapsed like for many reasons, but we can dive into it a bit more later. But we were in a situation where we had no broadcaster, no offer on the market. So the only solution was to go D2C. And we used like the basis that we had in the UK. We twisted it with what we call like a hybrid model. So not only D2C, but also like fully dedicated on the distribution of the channel with a lot of partners, telcos, streamers, and so on. And we built kind of this offering with a linear channel, with VOD content, with a D2C platform that we launched like on the 11th of August, 2025. And then recently, like we are like 8 months after, already the time to have a small recap, and furthermore to have a preparation of next season. So yeah, honestly, a very exciting project, and all the elements that you see like in those kind of events, in some conferences and so on, like you have everything packed up in one project.
And yeah, and obviously the content is really rich. So the one thing that is fascinating that you mentioned quickly is what was the time frame you had? Because that's kind of the big news. Obviously, D2C is the big news, but from our side as product, tech, product strategy people, it's okay. Now you have 1 month. Even if you already had something in the UK and Ireland, it doesn't mean opening a geotagging policy to allow everybody to use it. It's the marketing side and everything and so on. And also adapting, obviously, UK and Ireland and France are not that very different, but still it's a different country, right?
No, I think you're completely right. So the time frames where the decision was made to launch League One Plus as a platform, but as a project as a whole, I think on the end of May, with a season start that was like mid-August. So as you can imagine, everybody was quite busy during the summer. And we built everything from the tech to the content, to the marketing, to the pricing, to promotion. So honestly, it was quite a challenge. Also a bit scary, to be fully honest, because like on every single piece of the project, it was brand new for us. Because of the timing, we had to use internal resources. So everybody kind of learned by doing all the steps on the D2C. But it's also what makes it interesting, because you have to learn, you have to be quick, you have to be resilient, and to adapt to a situation that's brand new for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how long was that?
Paul, have you?
Oh, sorry, how long was that? Oh, wow, that's super impressive.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to ask is also, what was, I'm sure you had so many fires or so many things to consider, but what was the position in the ranking of things you had to worry about of the, if you want, discovery and video experience? Is it something that you were sure it would work, or also on that you had to do some skill adaptation?
Yeah, I think what we started with as a strategy was, okay, like in 3 months, we're not going to reinvent like video experience and so on. But like, it's not because you're brand new that users are not expecting like a premium offering, also in terms of features on the video player and so on. So we had a kind of I would say, modest strategy with, okay, let's focus on the channel itself, the content that's directly like merged into the channel. Let's put some sparkles on it. Like we had what we call kind of an expert modes that were that we're building with LiveLike, which is like stats overlay, rankings, lineups, like near live clipping, where you can have the highlights directly during the game. But I think it stays pretty standard. No like revolutionary feature or like something that stands out. The way we did the innovation to start with was more like on other feeds, like additional feeds. To give you an example, on all the big games of the Sunday evening, we had what we call the expert feed, which is really a feed that's intended for people that are like data addicts and that's like to merge into all the small metrics of football. And we had like the L bar shaped with statistics. You had the names of the player directly into the game. You had sometimes like the passes, the speed of the shots. Typically, we saw it in the quick video. So I think we wanted the first season to be kind of an experiment, but without like pushing this to all the users, because we still wanted to gauge the appetite for those people. And without spoiling everything, we will be trying to push it more on the season 2, because we now have some metrics to justify some choices.
I think one thing is, and I'll start with Paul, very often there are two little provocation that I want to bring in, and Sifin already touched upon it a bit. So on one hand, there is this kind of, after many years, because I started in 2008 with the Olympics, so I imagine my live streaming career, and that was super scary. So the video was, we need to make it work. And then Olympics, imagine all the channels. So now in theory, there is kind of this common sense of, okay, but the video experience is common. I mean, get a video player, whatever, just put it there and stick it, create a discovery like Netflix, and we are done, which we may or not agree. On the other hand, very often you talk to people, especially on the business side, but you just put the match. They want to stay on the couch and just watch. They don't care about your little feature that you asking me X, whatever, millions to develop for you. So for me, so where are you in that? So is the commodity, and does it make a difference to user? What's your position, Paul, if you want? I know you spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Yeah. And I think that what's not solved, there's a bunch of things that aren't solved with delivering video. One is consistent and low delay. That works when people are connected via mobile and on bad networks, etc. That's definitely not solved. If you and mobile is increasing in terms of a platform that people connect by. People connect usually for a shorter time via mobile to watch what's happening in the game as they're out and about. So we see a lot of mobile connectivity, and streaming on mobile isn't at low delay is definitely not solved. Also, getting a consistent video experience. So if you want just the same as broadcast video, you can get that working on smart TVs, connected TVs. But as soon as you start adding features, you start wanting to do multi-view, you start wanting to do stats overlays, you want to do dynamic ad insertion, it gets more and more complex to do that across the different platforms in the ecosystem. And also, both of those really combined, actually creating fan experiences that engage the viewer. You need to be able to do features like multi-view. You need to be able to understand what's happening in the video stream so you can overlay stats in the right place. There's a lot of complexity that you start adding when you create those personalized experiences. So I think there's a lot of work for people building video experiences left to do, which is great.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that, and we're like experimenting that with the first season, like it's a mix between what you think is a good idea in terms of experience that you would provide to the users and what the user are actually going to buy or not. And I think, like, to your point, Paul, at some time, you have also to make some market push, because you know that this is an innovation that on the long run is going to bring value to the fans. Because I think you mentioned it, Carlo, like some users will just say like, I just want high quality streams, no feature, just want to sit on the couch and watch a 90-minute game. But if we stay like that, you're not bringing any value. And I think you're just like stagnating in the same area all over again. So it's honestly not an easy balance to find between, okay, like let's ask the users for what they want. But on the other hand, like I work in the media business. I know what the tech is capable of. The users don't. So maybe if I want to push something, I need to show a bit the innovation and what can be achieved.
Yeah, on that point, I think it's really hard to understand whether a new fan experience you put out is actually engaging the fan.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why we're in this space, because we want to create compelling fan experiences. And at Dolby, we are an experience company, so we actually care about the experience. So we're coming at from the experience side in. And one thing that we're spending a lot of time on is trying to understand what engages fans and then drive the experience from that. And I think we're at a stage at the moment where there's enough data around, particularly with over-the-top services, enough data about the users to understand what engages them. So then you can use that to drive the experience as opposed to just trying something and seeing if it sticks. And that's, I'm spending a lot of my time on that fan experience, understanding the fan and using that to drive the experience.
Yeah. And I think it's even sometimes like a bit funny, as some people will be asking for things more because it's now a requirement rather than because it's an experience increase. There was like a funny part at season start with League One Plus, where when we launched the service, like on the 11th of August, the top one comment was, okay, are we going to get 4K? Are we going to get like Atmos sound? And it was kind of a the number one ask. And we know, because we have the data in terms of the devices that people are watching the streams on, like that 95% of the users, even if they get 4K streams, they kind of like watch it 4K. So at some time it's more a marketing tool to say like, okay, we are a premium service and we are offering 4K streams on a football game, even if we know that most of the users will have like either an old TV that's not supporting 4K or watching like on the subway on their small iPhone. So it's also like the investment that you would be putting in 4K or like Dolby Atmos sounds is something like for promotion, for marketing, to say, listen, guys, we hear you. We are like the best quality you can put, but then on the usage, it's not matched.
That's almost a pull way from marketing to you. What my experience has been, sorry, Paul, has been a lot of I have invented, or some more or less designed 3 new things, features, of experiences. And I'm trying to convince the marketing team of my client, which is as a vendor is more difficult, to invest what I call marketable features. So select 2 of the 15 we designed, the 5 we implemented. Select 2 that you help us push to the client, to the users, because it's not obvious. I mean, whatever I was doing with the NFL, it was a feature that nobody had, knew. If you don't push it with the marketing, the direct to consumer, nobody will use it. Then it doesn't mean they will use it, but if they don't know, you kind of have to educate them. It's a balance of, where you put your money, both in terms of product and marketing, obviously with the support of the content available, clearly. Paul, sorry, I stopped.
Oh, that's okay. Just one point for Cyprian on what users are asking for. I think when users ask for 4K video, they're generally asking for better video. Yeah. And one thing that we learned a long time ago is that people want better pixels, not more pixels. So you actually want you first want it to be stable, so not interrupted by network issues. But you then pretty quickly want the colors to be accurate, particularly in sports, because you want to see the face of the player. And you want to see the face of the player not red because your TV's a little bit out on its color balance. But you want to see it as a natural face. And that's where I think we get a lot of traction with Dolby Vision in sports because we can help get that natural experience on the video side, because we work with most of the panel manufacturers and we understand the capability of those panels, and we can map the video from the camera to the panel, which is an end-to-end thing, which is pretty hard to do. And getting that right, I think, makes it a much better experience.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing in terms of interactivity, I've been working on interactive players since around 2010, 12. So, we never, I think, found the holy grail of, getting millions to use a certain feature or not. But I'm observing now, my son is 11 playing in a football team. So I have 20 kids around me that I can observe. And in Italy, the zone has a little interactive back that even on the mobile asks you, okay, so we win, but super simple interactivity. And I was impressed by their reaction. This is like pure anecdote, but they loved it. So I was right. So even for this generation, for the people that are using digital devices in a very advanced way, it's amazing how they appreciate interactivity. And so, there's a lot of blah, blah, blah about young generation, etc. But I saw it. They really loved it. And it's a small thing. So obviously, they're not designing product. We are. And you're young. I'm older. But sorry. Go.
What's interesting, in that, Carlo, is that obviously what was also not a struggle, but a challenge when we launched League One Plus is that you're targeting, obviously, younger generation, because as you were saying, everybody's saying, okay, like the young generation, they're not watching football anymore, or like they're watching it differently. So we try to have an approach that's heading towards those younger generation. But on the other hand, like the core football fans that are ready to pay like 20 euro a month to watch football, they are more like male people, more than 30 years old. So in terms of also the interactivity and the features that you're putting on the platform, it means you need to be smart, because you don't have to lose people that are just going to say, okay, like there are too many things on screen. Why is there a chat? Why is there like some quizzes and so on? But on the other hand, if you're not trying to offer something new to the younger generation that are most used to interactivity, to speaking to people while watching football, to have like some polls, some quizzes with the man of the match, ranking the actions and so on. So I think this is also something that's not easy to master. And on our side, because we have the OTT on one side, but we also have the League One Plus channel that's carried by the telcos, by DAZN, by Prime Video and so on. We are kind of heading towards the OTT itself being kind of the innovation lab. And then like the people that want to watch it on the traditional TV, they just like go on their set-top box. They have the bundle with League One Plus and they watch like the linear channel without any like sparkles.
Absolutely. And just to make things more complex, and you already touched about it, let's talk about multi-platform. How many platform is the League One Plus streaming service on at the moment?
So that's a good question. There is two things. There is the platform with the distributor. So typically, if you have a Prime Video or a DAZN, they're like on many platforms. But our OTT is web, mobile, smart TVs. I'm not going to list them, but most of them. PlayStation, Xbox, and I must be like forgetting some of them. But no, it's one of our approach where because the One Plus was also a project where we wanted to recreate the bond with the fan. Our perspective was, okay, no matter what device you're streaming on, you need to have League One Plus available.
And I think Paul, how do you manage that? Because obviously it's already what you said, you have to go minimum common denominator. Obviously, you need to find, there will be some feature on certain platforms, etc. Is there a way to support this kind of, because that can kill your product in the end. You won't have any product roadmap, effort, time, or space to create, because they change something, Sony launching new stuff. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, so it's the reason why we got into the player, because creating experiences across platforms is super difficult. So if we want to create an experience that can be delivered across multiple platforms, we have to have more control over the player. However, our strategy here is the player is there to help if someone else hasn't solved the problem in their existing server. So we have the player so that we can engage, but we also work with people who've solved all those problems across their platforms and sell our products into those platforms. So we have a multi-pronged strategy. But the reason we got into the player side is it's just so hard to get experiences out across all of the platforms. You have all sorts of problems where you can say on some platforms, you can only decode one video stream. So trying to do dynamic ad insertion on some of those platforms becomes quite difficult. And also multi-view becomes difficult there. So our strategy is dual-pronged. We try and get the best we can out of the platforms. If there are things we need to do, then we have that we can't, we just fall back to other solutions. So we're very focused on server-guided ad insertion, which requires control over the player. But we seamlessly fall back to server-side ad insertion on platforms which don't support it. So we can get the best experience out. So it just is a lot of work to do it, which is our job.
And also, you mentioned ads, and I was talking before the webinar with Cyprian. There's working on something. So, Cyprian, I'll let you explain what's your position on ads.
No, I think like when we first launched the service, like you look at the revenue stream that you can get from D2C. The first one is obviously like, okay, subscription times number of subscribers times number of months of the year. But then obviously it's also like, okay, how are we going to monetize ads on the platform? The first way we did it is a very old-fashioned way. Like you have like a partnership with an ad agency. You're waiting the first month to get like the audiences and some insights on the number of viewers, and then you're selling the ads the old-fashioned way. The reason we did that is because it was something that we already knew. Like we had some partnership with some ads agencies that knows how to sell ads on a TV channel. What we're considering for next season is trying to be a bit more creative and trying to put the ad insertion differently into the platform. The main reason for that is like, it's no secret. Like the rates that you can get on linear TV ad insertion is like decreasing every year. Whereas if you're taking like digital ads, it's still increasing. So we are still like discussing about the best way to do it. What I would say is that having ad insertion into the homepage to promote some partners, to promote some special events of, I don't know, like McDonald's, which is the name of the competition, or like other vendors like Decathlon, that is the partner for the Ligue 1 Bowl. So we'll definitely be looking at ad insertion directly on the platform with one small twist. That's the reality of our model. Because the OTT is just one part of Ligue 1 Plus distribution, it means that all the innovation that we could bring in terms of ad insertion on the platform is not common to the whole Ligue 1 Plus project. So it's something also that you have to manage so that the experience that you're offering on your D2C is not like fully crowded with ads. Whereas if you go on Prime Video or DAZN, you have something that's a bit softer.
Yeah, so we have one question. Let me see if I can put it on. So from Cormac, question to all. How do you see the market demand for immersive video in both replay and real time? For example, the likes of what you see recently in the NBA on Prime. Any thoughts on that?
So I can start. Immersive video can be really compelling as long as it's, there's multiple types of immersive video. There's immersive video, which is, 3 degrees of freedom, 2 degrees of freedom. 3 degrees of freedom is really compelling, but super hard to capture. 2 degrees of freedom, it makes you feel a little bit nauseous when you're watching. So immersive video can be really good, but it can also be just a bit nauseating. But what I think really where immersive video can play a really interesting role in the future is being able to, if you've got this 3D model of the video, you could pull out different views, which is where I think that's super interesting. Because the more we're looking at personalization, the more different camera angles can tell better stories with for a particular viewer. So that's from my side. That's where it becomes interesting.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Paul, in the sense of what was kind of the boundary in terms of the experience that you're providing to the user is that typically if you dive a bit into the football analytics, you see like a big play of, I don't know, like PSG or Marseille. You can explain it. You can say, okay, like the angle of the pass is quite interesting. He makes a pass without seeing it. But with 3D models and 3D recreation, you can like illustrate the saying with like, okay, let's look at Vitinha or Joao Neves. And you see in his eyes what he was seeing with like the 3D models. And I think on our side, there is two perspectives in those kind of immersion. Putting this directly into the video player somehow, or like as a second screen experience is interesting. What we could be looking at for next season would be a more phased approach, typically using those 3D recreation on like on our weekly shows. Like you get a journalist that is using the tool to illustrate some of the actions, you know, when they do like the technical analysis. It's kind of a first step so that users can get used to, okay, like I see the player in 3D, I see the angles and so on. And then as a second step, and you're using kind of step one to just also educate the people about the feature. And then step two would be, you remember the nice feature that was on our weekly shows. You can then have a customized approach. You can just play with the tool directly in the app. And I think like the full immersive with the glasses or like whatever is maybe like just I would say an innovation initiative just to show what's feasible. But I think the real use case for the moment is more okay, you cut just the linear 2D feed and you put it in 3D.
Yeah. And by the way, I meant 6 degrees of freedom and 3 degrees of freedom before. But I fully agree. An immersive video on a 2D screen or cutting out a view from it is really what's compelling to me.
Yeah. And there's by the way, thank you, Cormac, because I wanted to talk about ambition and innovation. So perfect timing with this question. I think what I've seen recently, watching a bit more football with my son at also at the stadium. One, there are these new cameras, like it's now 2-3 years, where they go very close and they do the bokeh effect. So the way immersive doesn't only mean have glasses. Is the way the referee comes for whatever a bit sketchy is still. So there are a lot of immersion, and we're talking about football, obviously, NBA, different sport, also immersive is easier because you're closer to the action. There's a lot of way that, and not because it's all, but with audio, so the concept of immersion can be declined in very many dimensions, I think. One last topic or question. I don't know if Cyprian wants to talk about a bit the roadmap for next year, but whatever you want, if you can, or more the ambition. So forget for a moment that you are at League One, at the media, etc. So I have things I wanted to see happening, and some are happening, some not through the years. But so roadmap and ambition, and then if you want roadmap and ambition, also for Paul after that.
Yeah. No, I think I would say roadmap is and ambition is kind of a merge into the same area for us. I think the first ambition, let's call it that way, for next season is how you make a recap of everything that did well and not well on the season one, and how you correct that on the season two, without giving any secret. But I think the number one priority for us is everything that's going to be about churn prevention. How do you get better rates in terms of the people that are committed on the platform, the people that are not committed, how you make some retargeting campaigns and so on. I would say it's pretty basic when you say it that way. It's kind of the number one rule when you're going D2C. But because it was brand new for us, we're just following the traditional path of, okay, first priority, how you get people on the platform. Second priority, how you keep them, especially with the summer break that's coming. That's, I would say, the churn and the technical part. But in terms of the ambition, there is also how you use the platform to get, as I was saying, an innovation hub for the streaming as a whole. So the idea is also to put on the platform things that people haven't seen before. So we are still in some brainstorming phase where we want for next season, maybe not for August, because the roadmap on the anti-churn and so on is pretty full. But I don't know, maybe in September, how you put some features that have not been seen anywhere in terms of the video player and the D2C. I cannot give you the feature because it's still being discussed. But the idea is, it was kind of a groundbreaking, I think, for a top 5 league to go D2C on the domestic market. We've seen a couple of weeks ago that Premier League announced Premier League Plus. So it's quite funny because League One Plus, the name is not too far away. But I would say we will be trying as League One to use this position where we now have more flexibility. We are now in control of our roadmap, our experience, and so on, to be quite innovative. And even if a lot of people are saying okay, is it a sustainable model in terms of revenues and so on, blah, blah, blah. At least we have the control of the experience. So let's try to make the most out of it.
Yes. And Paul, on your side, roadmap and ambition, they collide, sometimes they don't.
I think our roadmap and our ambition, they're very related, actually. So we're spending a lot of time in the shorter term with our streaming product, player product, and ads product. And our focus there is helping our sports customers generate revenue and so meet the requirements that they have on the streaming side, get to the platforms that they need with the player. And also with ads, we've been successful in increasing ad revenue for a couple of our sports customers by up to over 60% actually, because moving them to personalized ads at scale has really helped them increase their revenue. But longer term, the way that our ambition is to help our customers generate more revenue by increasing watch times. So keeping viewers watching, keeping viewers engaged with what they were watching. And we're taking a very user-centric approach to this. So we're looking at how users engage with content. There's so much data that streaming providers have at the moment. So with that data, understanding what engages viewers, and then with that data, what we're doing is creating stories around the sport, because people engage with sport is a story. People engage with stories. There's a lot of interesting information around the sport to a game to keep people engaged, which could be replays from other live games. It could be replays from the game that you're watching. It could be social media content. It could be different views that are more interesting to you. Racing, for example, car racing, there's so many camera angles, there's so much stuff happening on the field. What is the view which is interesting to that viewer at the time? So our thought is understanding what engages viewers and then using all of the information we have to turn the experience into more of a story that keeps them watching. And we see that as a way of increasing revenue as well, because that'll increase subscription.
One way that I see an ambition in terms of, you mentioned it before, I've seen it in the sports innovation event in Dusseldorf. Genius Sport, EA, a lot of companies, the thing we mentioned for many years, it's now decent latency possible to recreate a full game with EA style graphics while it's happening. So the fact that my son will watch a game like that, or at some point he will go back to that and recreate the action. So this kind of mixed experience, it's here. We just need to find a way as an industry. Yeah. We need to find a way to, and still, I recently, my friend Lamberto at Milan invited me to some Milan games in Milano at San Siro. And I have to say, I still miss to have a device in my hand where I can do stuff, rewatch, etc. Amazing to see the live experience, but I'm so digital that I want something to put my head. I know that there are a lot of apps. I think that's and maybe someone like League One they already own the D2C may also invest there more than the club or the broadcaster. In certain cases, it's very difficult to do it properly. So I'm missing a device in my hand, which is not for everybody. Yeah, sorry.
And I think also what we saw this weekend at La Liga, where they did like kind of a old school overlay, where you had like all the lineups, all the old fashioned way of like
it's very cool
and so on. And honestly, I watched it and I was like, it's crazy as everybody's saying like we need to be like at the cutting edge of technology, have something dynamic, but sometimes having kind of the nostalgic overlay back from the 2000s gives a new taste to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think we covered, I would say, most of what I had in mind, and thank you for being part of this. I always like to talk with people that not only talk about things, but they're really building, launching, relaunching, refactoring, whatever you do in product, and with the real case. I think before you were mentioning, now we have the stats. I think as a product guy, one of the things I love working in streaming is that you have with all the privacy things, but so this person is doing this. So you can go so deep into what the existing, doesn't mean the one outside. So, but the existing customer are doing, if you have your sensor right and you have a platform, more and more this platform with AI, etc., you can extract a lot of insights of what works, what doesn't, and even what you can make work better because you see patterns. So that's super fascinating if you love, designing and building product.
It's crazy all the from all the years before when we were selling the rights just to a broadcaster, the only link that we had with the fans were on social media. So basically, the real Ligue 1 fans was kind of a black box for us. Like what demographics, what type of content are they interested in? So it's a real game changer to get access to the data, but it's also something that you need to handle. Like we figured out at the beginning of the season that we were super excited. Okay, all this data that we're going to get from people and so on. And then we were like, okay, we have all this data, but what do we do about it? And you need people to manage it. You need to get the right insights. You need to have also some month, because after 2 months, the first conclusion that you have can be wrong or a mistake. So I think that's also the good thing about the season 2 of the product is that you now have something to compare to in terms of, okay, the year -1, I see the trend, I see the big games, I now have some insights, but it's definitely some work to handle all those data.
Yeah, we should talk. We work with a bunch of people around the data, and particularly from the angle of understanding engagement.
Okay, nice.
Because Dolby itself, we're very focused on creating engaging content. So we have a lot of data scientists.
Yeah.
And and researchers that understand engagement from a physiological level. So we should chat.
Exactly. That's an appointment.
Yeah.
So what can I say? Thank you to the people that followed, and thank you to Cyprien for being available again. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Paul, for being connected so far from us. So thank you, and let's see League One Plus Season 2 with all the episodes, like.
Exactly.
Va bene, grazie. Ciao. Thank you for
guys.
listening and watching.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gala. Thanks, April.